Welcome back. In part 2, we delve further into the intricacies of psychic functioning. In this segment, we focus on the profound contributions of Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ, both pioneers whose research at the Stanford Research Institute illuminated the boundaries of conventional scientific inquiry. Beyond their groundbreaking work, we embark on a rigorous examination of Jessica Utz's statistical analysis as presented in her seminal report, An Assessment of the Evidence for Psychic Functioning. Utz's meticulous scrutiny of experimental data sheds light on the nuanced complexities underlying psychic phenomena within the Stargate project. Join us as we navigate through the academic terrain where empirical rigor intersects with the mysterious realms of psychic inquiry. Prepare for an intellectual voyage into greater depths, where each revelation invites us to ponder the intricacies of human perception and the enigmatic forces that lie beyond conventional understanding. Harold E. Puthoff and Russell Targ are responsible for conducting the experiments and furthering the research that was done under the Stargate project at the Stanford Research Institute. Dr. Harold E. Puthoff holds a PhD in electrical engineering from Stanford University, where he also completed his undergraduate and master's degrees. He served as a technical director at the Stanford Research Institute and later founded the Institute for Advanced Studies at Austin. Puthoff's background in theoretical physics and engineering contributed to his involvement in a diverse range of research areas, including remote viewing. Russell Targ earned a Bachelor of Science in Physics from Queens College and went on to receive a master's degree in physics from Columbia University. He conducted research in lasers and co-developed the laser-induced plasma device. Targ's association with the Stanford Research Institute marked a significant period where he explored remote viewing and parapsychology. He has also authored numerous books and scientific papers. Both Puthoff and Targ brought substantial academic and research credentials to their involvement in the Stargate project, combining their expertise in physics and engineering with an interest in unconventional areas of study.
Dr. Edwin May served as the Director of Research for the Stargate project. Dr. May holds a PhD in experimental nuclear physics from the University of California, Davis, and a Bachelor's of Science in electrical engineering from the University of Arizona.
Dr. Jessica Utz's report, which highlights the work done by Targ and Puthoff, was published in peer-reviewed journals, is the Journal of Scientific Exploration. This is a peer-reviewed scientific journal that focuses on fringe science and controversial research topics. Utz's report was published in Volume 10, Number 1, in the spring of 1996. Additionally, her report was also presented at the 1995 annual meeting of the American Statistical Association in Orlando, Florida, and published in its proceedings.
I think you're right. The proof is there, and now we have to figure out what's going on. And so we talk about proof-oriented versus process-oriented research. We really need to focus on the process-oriented research. I think what we need is a multidisciplinary team. We need strong funding from some source, and I really think the government should fund it. They're spending billions on medical research. If they were just to spend a couple million on this, I think we could make some progress. But we really need physicists, psychologists, cognitive experts, statisticians, to come together and try to see if we can figure out, put out some theories and then try testing them and see if we can figure out what's going on. Whatever it is, I think it's going to revolutionize the world in various ways because there's something there that we don't understand.
Whether or not psychic functioning is possible, the experiments at SAIC were designed to explore a number of hypotheses. Experiments 1 and 10 were both designed to see if there is a relationship between the change in visual entropy in the targets and the remote viewing performance. Each of the 5 senses with which we are familiar is a change detector. Our vision is most readily drawn to something that is moving. And in fact, if our eyes are kept completely still, we cease to see anything at all. Similarly, we hear because of moving air, and our attention is drawn to sudden changes in sound levels. Other senses behave similarly. Thus, it is reasonable that if there really is a psychic sense, then it would follow that same pattern. Experiments 1 and 10 were designed to test whether or not remote viewing performance would be related to a particular type of change in the target material, namely the change in visual entropy. A target with a high degree of change would be one in which the colors changed considerably throughout the target. A detailed explanation can be found in the SAIC reports of this experiment, or in the article titled Shannon Entropy, a Possible Intrinsic Target Property, written by May, Spottiswoode, and James, and published in the Journal of Parapsychology in December 1994. It was indeed found that there was a correlation between the change in entropy in the target and the remote viewing quality. This result was initially shown in Experiment 1 and replicated in Experiment 10. A simulation study matching randomly chosen targets to respond showed that this was unlikely to be an artifact of target complexity or any other features. It is worth speculating on what this might mean for determining how psychic functioning works. Physicists are currently grappling with the concept of time and cannot rule out precognition as being consistent with current understanding. Perhaps it is the case that we do have a psychic sense, much like our other senses, and that it works by scanning the future for possibilities of major change, much as our eyes scan the environment for visual change and our ears are responsive to auditory change. That idea is consistent with anecdotal reports of precognition, which are generally concerned with events involving major life change. Laboratory remote viewing may in part work by someone directing the viewer to focus on a particular point in the future, that in which he or she receives the feedback from the experiment. It may also be the case that the same sense can scan the environment in actual time and detect change as well. Another hypothesis put forth by SAIC was that laboratory remote viewing experiments are most likely to be successful if the pool of potential targets is neither too narrow nor too wide. In terms of the number of possible elements in the target, they called this feature the target pool bandwidth and described it as the number of differentiable cognitive elements.
I'm convinced from those experiments that consciousness is efficacious. We're showing that consciousness can do stuff at a distance outside the body, that there's a connection.